Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it away. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it away.
Hello, everyone. You guys are tuning in to R6CC week number 6. Minnesota, the 8th seed, going against Trine University, the 6th seed. Both rosters currently 3-2. My name is Brian, and today I decided to spice things up with Adam, also known as a legendary King Cat guy.
Hi, I'm back. I bet you guys missed me. Your
I missed
favorite.
you.
I miss you too. I miss you too, Chief. Your favorite collegiate hating caster is back. I'm just kidding, and I'm super excited to get into what is that? Another week of collegiate. It's my second week here, and I'm ready. I'm ready for this. If you want to recap, if you want to understand exactly what happened right before what we just got into, here's a little recap to show you exactly what we've already been through so far in collegiate this week.
He lied to you.
I fooled you.
You're keeping me on the toes today, man. Like you're just trying to make me work.
I'm the master. I'm the master of deception. But we don't have that video. Not just yet. Maybe not ever. I'm sorry. It disappeared. But yeah, going into this week, we have you're gonna have to excuse me, the University of MN versus Trine. Trine Esports. It's gonna be a really exciting game here. I know Trine took a pretty notable victory against Wisconsin Red recently. So they've got a little bit of heat coming into this game here against UMN.
You know, I know we started off with a little bit of troll like my silver teammates in ranked, but you know what? You know who's not going to be trolling? It's going to be Minnesota. Let's bring them up right now. Vital, Ngoon Tun, Big Socks, Crumbs, and Obi Zero. I'm terrible with names, man. They give me the hard names. I guess I'm trolling like the silver teammates. Man, costing Elo one by one.
Scrubs.Holife might be my favorite on that entire. Oh, but there's two of them with a whole life tag.
It's a collegiate name, man.
That is beautiful, man. That is absolutely beautiful. But yeah, on the side of Trine here, we actually have to keep in mind that on University of Minnesota, there's two subs. But for Trine, you have Mars, Check, Mini, Squirrely, and Smark or Mark.
It's Mark.
Smark. So Trine actually did compete in the Purdue land, which is kind of, I think recently it's just been our most recent benchmark of collegiate skill. Very, very, I'd say popular land. A lot of people heard of it. Crow was casting it. I think you were, not you, Stick and Fellow were all there. But yeah, Trine were in there, minus Mars, which I mean, it's whatever. So they've got a little bit of experience coming into this. They've got a little bit of collegiate, expertise coming into this, a little bit more experience. And they're up against two subs. So as theory goes, this should be quite the game for them.
Adam, why do you get the easy names?
I mean, I got a dude who misspelled squirrely, and then squirrely, is that even a word? That's definitely
not a word. It's when you're driving race cars, you get all squirrely. All right, we're gonna go to the game. Map number 1 is gonna be Oregon Coastline and Villa. Well, what else am I gonna compare it to? I don't know, like ball sports. Like, is there a ball sport? Like, like football, basketball, tennis,
cricket. Cricket's my favorite.
I've never seen a game of cricket in my life. All I know is you have a wooden bat and a ball, like a t-ball, and then I don't even know if you have a t-ball. I think there's a pitching. All right, Flores, bad number 1. No surprise there, Adam, right? I mean, the king of removing deployable shields. You have this beautiful setup. You put some my pancakes, you put some Jaeger ADSs, and all of a sudden there's an explosive drone at your feet and detonating your deployable shield. You put all this hard work into your setup, and one operator dismantles it. And no surprise there, too. Thatcher falls in the exact same umbrella. You have precious utility. All of a sudden, he turns it off like a light switch.
Yeah, and those are two very powerful utility-based operators. And on a map like Oregon, you can kind of tell what playstyle Minnesota might be bringing on this attack is fast, lightning pace, and kind of reliant on frags maybe, because there's a lot of utility off the board. Valk as well, no surprise. Not even just in Oregon, but probably one of the most powerful characters in the game right now. I'm not sure when that camera change is going to happen, where she can't throw cameras outside anymore. That's definitely going to be a huge hit, but even then, she's still going to be pretty good. And Mira has always been a staple of this game and a staple of the ban phase, and it's no surprise to see her there once again.
Do you honestly think like other operators are going to become like more powerful in the run out meta? Like when back on the TS like a couple months ago, you could throw like one of your Mozzie drones outside, keep it out for 9 seconds, and drive it back in, and you can keep doing like that back and forth because. Let's be real, especially on like maps like Oregon, we know every single default cam for the Valkyries outside, right? Like it's ingrained at your head if you've ever played ranked. But now you can have like an Echo drone of that Mozzie kind of like jack in a box back outside. And so, I don't know, might change things up a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, especially because you just don't have those static cameras that we were talking about. You're going to have to be really active with it. You know, like you said, like there's going to be a lot involved in runouts, like Mozzie drones, Echo drones. You're always going to have some sort of second wheel in that. But either way, I mean, Valkyrie still nowadays is going. I think she is going to still be picked, even with that run out thing being completely gone, because she just provides so much valuable intel that a BP or a Maestro camera or even an Echo drone can't provide as easily. Now, the thing is that on this map, or particularly on this map, you don't really have a lot of operator slots whenever it comes to choosing intel based operators. You're always going to want at least a Jaeger, maybe even the Wamais we're seeing brought out. You want wall denial, you want stall, and then you want just someone that can run around and use their utility as they so please, such as Rooney. So you don't typically tend to see like any intel based characters. You just see someone bring a bulletproof, but it doesn't have a lot of mobility. It's very static, and you can only cover one position at a time. So I am definitely you got to keep in mind what might happen whenever those changes come on out. Maybe we'll see more intel based operators.
Well, Trine lacking in the information game right now. There's 2 drones down there sitting at the bottom of T2, but I actually think Squirrely is going to big brain this, right? They climb up that ladder. They weren't identified, but going back to the BP discussion, none on the side of Trine. They're electing to bring out 2 sets of barb. Now, Adam, I'm always a fan of those bulletproof cameras. I'm going to be honest with you. I actually think it's probably the most powerful bit of secondary gadget on the defending side. I mean, so OP, especially now that you can tase things and turn off drones. And I think we're about to see somebody's head turned off momentarily, because Squirrely is in a terrible position right now, being dealt with by multiple attackers, pinched in a corner. First flashbang goes out. It misses. How is he still alive? How is this dude not punished here? Repeat drones. Come on, guys. You got to nade him. You got to flashbang. You got to do something to push from underneath. That's going to be good enough for the kill, but man, he wasted 55 seconds.
It's a lot of time, especially just for a big tower clear. Like, you still got a lot of work to do if you're on the side of Minnesota. You have to get your hard breach over to the master doorway, or sorry, into the master closet, and get rid of the utility from underneath, which is not going to be easy. It's an electroclaw. It's not a simple shoot and forget, even though it is on the floor. So that could actually get blown up if Minnesota play that correctly. But yeah, I mean, really good time wasted there from Squirrely. He loses his life with a lot of consequence on the clock, and now the rest of Minnesota are going to have to go for crunch time as they want to get themselves inside of Attic while also getting this wall, and Mini's going to contest that, but will bear no fruit.
Attempted to use the Gon 6. I think with that Cade Claw actually on the middle portion, I don't think it's actually going to be able to have the explosive dish out any damage. There's Mini's shotgun dishing out plenty of terror. But now the north side of the map has crumbled. In fact, Trine seems to be dropping one by one. They've lost all their defenders that are trying to contest towards the north. And now what do you do, Adam? How do you start to slow this down? Sure, you have ADSs holding towards pit. I guess that's what you could do. Wait for somebody to prone into you. Not the smartest decision, but you still have the man advantage for Minnesota.
You can play refrags here, right? You've only got 2 versus 4 going in your way. There is one thing that Czech has in his back pocket, and that is a C4, which can definitely be a difference maker here in the dying seconds of the round. Big Sox is going to get lit up here by Smart, who's just holding down Attic as much as he possibly can. No shield there as the Ionic clones come on in. Smart just going to have to play this with Czech here. 30 seconds remaining, and the rest of Minnesota are going to have to get a move on now. Czech swinging over from the white rotate. As you can see, the wall inside the closet gonna get opened up. A swing from Czech bears himself a kill for Vital, or onto Vital rather. 3 versus 2, 19 seconds left.
You're gonna have to continue on your flood. You have control of one of the bomb sites. It's an opportunity to elect. You do have to be mindful, though, of that Nitro Cell being dispatched. But Big Sox, where is that diffuser? It finally goes down. And it's going to be Omni Ezio with that final kill there, swinging on forward. Great team play, though, for Minnesota. Adam, we talked about being a little bit concerned there with the pressure over by T3, but it wasted 55 seconds, but unfortunately, Trine was unable to convert that to any map real estate, and not enough time wasted there.
Yeah, even with Smart doing work inside of Attic, it just simply wasn't enough. Trine had the flood there, and I think a lot of what Trine did was just give up some freebies, which they really didn't need to. They could have played around the utility and the crossfires that they had against them. They had basically one free plant denial in their back pocket, and that was on the C4 there of Czech. So he could have definitely done something with the C4 and just allow the rest of Trine to just simply stall out the time and just wait to see what'll happen next. Because I really do feel like, Trine just gave up so many freebies for pretty much no reason whatsoever. And unfortunately, you can see the benefits Minnesota took from that, as they played that pretty well. You know, they split up, they managed to get their forces on each and every side. And well, we talked about how I think it was Squirrely wasted time inside a tower. Eventually, that didn't really matter because Minnesota just played that and paced that really well.
Well, it's time to remember those lessons. Try going downstairs into the basement, Adam. And if you have a large room on the middle floor, the top floor, the thing that Trine cannot do is lose those defenders in those solo roam engagements like they did back in that previous round. So if you're going to roam, play together with your teammate. You kind of do like that buddy system, right? Where it's like an arm's length transaction or something. If one of your mates gets smoked, well, then you have somebody there to spring into action and guarantee that trade. I mean, especially, right, if you're taking on an attacker like the Nomad with the ARX and has, like, 22 bullets in the magazine, they're probably good for only one kill, especially if they're forced to go for that reload. I will say, good on Minnesota for already starting to read this round saying, hey, you know what, maybe we should check upstairs in T3 in case there's somebody lurking. And there certainly is.
Yeah, Mini's going to have to be forced out of this position here. Trine, knowing the way that they've been playing these roams, though, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that easy. Swing's going to come in, and C4 is going to blow, but Vital is going to live very, very closely. Look at the HP on this man. I really don't know. He made like a 400-meter sprint to the other side of tower and just dodged that. It really doesn't make any sense to me. The C4s are so weird in this game, but I mean, I guess good on Mini to get that that chip damage off, but unfortunately, if you're Mini, you absolutely wanted that kill. That's one of your hard breach. That could have been one of your hard breaches gone.
At least you were able to dish out some HP, and to be fair, Trine has a full map roam. We were talking about the mid-floor roam, but what about the second-floor roam? There are reinforcements in play, there are foot-level holes, and there seems to be an absence of those roly-poly drones. No, Mini gets a free kill. They dish out the nitrocell damage, and now they find a kill, and Trine's in a good position right now. Sure, you have Maverick, sure you have Cade available. That's going to be a great synergy between those two characters, but Minnesota on the back foot. They have to deal with the utility. Great job on that deployable shield, but there's still a smoke in play. Oh, no, please don't reinforce him in. They know he just got droned. They know he's a dead man.
He is screwed. He is absolutely screwed here. He is going to just get lit up by Ingun, so that is so rough, man. Any other gun, he might have, won the 1v1. But I saw that LMG coming. That thing is an anti-air machine. So, that goes that. And he's on for another here as Mini, unfortunately, prioritizes the drone over his own life. It's now 3 versus 3. And Minnesota are really taking this pretty well. Their pacing is looking really good. They've got control of they got control of Pillar. And they've also got 2 forced into Freezer. If they take the 1v1 inside of the site on that one guy and just play the crosses correctly, they could have the site here, but with 35 seconds remaining, they're going to have to get a move on.
One nitrocell in play. If you place a diffuser in the wrong spot, you might end up losing your life. Check identifies a player trying to push in through E-bonks, but they're not going to yet grip and rip that nitrocell. They're waiting for the audio cue. The audio cue is happening. Nitrocell a little bit late, but its package is going to be received. And now with Squirrely finding that kill, what are you going to do? You have 3 kills to your name. But Ingunta, unable to find another one. They were able to find entries. They've been able to find impacts, but so far in the basement, towards the end of that execute, unable to find anything.
Yeah, they definitely had a lot going for them, but unfortunately that, the fact that they lost one of their hard breachers definitely kind of hurt. They, Maverick is perfectly fine. But the issue is just like the time constraints were there. And honestly, Big Sox didn't really prioritize that wall enough. He didn't open up enough and didn't make any crosses to counter the people playing inside of Freezer. And unfortunately for them, Trine just played that really well inside of Freezer. They made the most of the space that they had, held crosses inside of the site, and that C4, of course, sealed the deal. And try and now take their equalizer on the basement. A really, really confusing and flustering round for both teams, I must admit. That C4 ripped there from Mini, simply not landing, and then they just missed drone T1 stairs and gave him a kill anyway. A lot happened that round. Definitely some mistakes that they're going to have to look out for moving on in this game.
I mean, Adam, I don't know about you, but I always try to plant, like, deep against the cubby, right? I always hate planting the E-box door because, let's be real, everybody knows to whip the nitrocell in that spot. But if you have, like, decent coverage, you can kind of just zoom past the freezer door and then hope that you plant in the right spot and hope they don't notice. And at least that's what I would have gone for. I think what we just saw from Minnesota was they had those great 2 opening kills, and then when it comes down to the execution window, they're like, surprise Pikachu, uh-oh, I don't know what to go. Like, I don't know what to do. And again, Always the hardest part to execute this final few seconds of their round. At least Minnesota, going into round number 3, they're going to be executing up in dorms, a bomb site that they've seen once before, and in fact, Adam, they're actually able to win it. That was that Strom roam clear, finding out Squirrely in the top of T3. So far, Squirrely is not going to elect to play in that spot, and honestly, probably a wise decision from them.
Yeah, Squirrely's playing this odd lurking position, which on Oregon can sometimes work because basement usually isn't checked whenever it is an upstairs clear, but you also have to keep in mind there's only like 3 staircases that you can work your way up on the map, and most likely 2 out of the 3 of those are going to be controlled by the attacker, and the one that remains, the white stairs, just leads back into the site. So lurking is definitely a little bit difficult on this map, and Squirrely has opted to just stick himself right inside of the basement. Now, last time around, they did not rely, Minnesota rather, did not rely on drones all that much. They kind of just air jabbed the stairs as they are doing now, and then just forgot. But the issue with that is you have no idea where Squirrely could pop in from and just maybe take a freebie or just add a lot of pressure and most importantly, waste a bit of time. So as nice as Nomad is, as nice as she is a forget and forget operator, you got to have some sort of intel leading into that.
Two-pronged information sources are critical for your flank watch, and throughout the duration of that North Tower take, what about the things that have happened over towards the south? The games wall has already been Swiss cheesed, already opened up. I think Mini kind of feels the pressure mounting. They can feel the pressure of Minnesota on the other side of the wall, and they're kind of in a decision. Do you continue to stay gun up close to this breach, or do you maybe fall back and leverage that utility? I don't think they're going to fall away, and in fact, they actually haven't been droned, or the Ionic clone hasn't identified them. So this actually might be a free kill. If they fall right now and push Master, it's going to be a kill in their name, and they're going to completely stop the round, because that'll be the diffuser lost, but Ngunta finds the opening kill, now 3 rounds in a row.
Well, there's Squirrely coming up from main and managing to secure the kill onto the Nomad there through the hatch, so really well played to him. But Mini, he's stuck here. He has only one option, and that is death, and that's either for him or for the enemy team, because there is no way that the attackers are going to go into the site without clearing him out. He is stuck between a rock and a hard place, and is just going to use his Toxic Babes until he dies. 40 seconds remaining, and Ngunta's on for a third now as Check takes down Big Socks. 2 versus 2. Squirrely takes down Scrubs, and it's just Check and Squirrely versus Vital and Ngunta. But Ngunta is on for 4, ladies and gentlemen. Swings white and gets all 5! As Squirrely stands no chance.
Ngunta, the mad lad of Minnesota, unable to be stopped. We talked about earlier, this is now their 3rd round in a row, finding the opening kill. Nasty, gnarly plays, good for the ace, and I think, my friend, the scoreboard says it all. 9 kills to their name. If you're Trine, how on earth do you just stop this LMGE of terror, right? Ngunta just smells blood in the water like a great white shark, 0 fear, and just walks through corridors, walks down through attic, just takes these gunfights and makes it look so easy.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Sometimes it is just that easy. Sometimes you are just that good at the game that you can just spray, pray, and just laser. All 5 players on the side. All 5 players on the side of... That's just harsh. That is horrible.
I'm a caster after all.
You are horrible.
And a boomer.
Like 27? Like,
no! That's rude! I'm not on
that's
doorstep yet.
So security welfare check looking really good right now. Anyway, you know, the thing about Minnesota is that they really haven't been playing out of the ordinary, have they, Chief? Like, this is just how you play Rainbow Six, and unfortunately, Trine are just none the wiser. They're trying to just do something weird every single time. They just have a wacky play lined up, like Squirrely on some random roam, but what do you really do once Squirrely secures his kill? He's in prime position to be refragged most of the time, because, you know, that's just what happens whenever you lurk without, you know, teammates around. So what impact is he really serving if he can't really keep himself alive and waste that much time? Because he got 1 kill there, but you saw it meant absolutely nothing to the pressure coming over from tower, because, well, Minnesota were just so stacked up. They were playing really clinical, just taking their time, getting their picks inside of the site. So as much as I like to see Squirrely roaming like this, so far all the frags have been pretty impactless. So maybe, you know, a different strategy might have to come into play.
Minnesota is taking map control in such a strange manner, Adam. They're kind of just all over the place. Some are in garage, some are in tower right now. Sure, they're starting to open up the attic wall, but they really don't have a lot of map control, and they're going to need to start to move faster. Sure, you have these footholds, but why is an attic actually just being Swiss cheesed away from this Maverick? Or are they just trying to bait out this shield? I'm not sure what they're trying to focus on. The thing with Minnesota, they've been playing this loosey-goosey, fast style of execute, and now they're kind of just stalling. I mean, look at what Scrubs is doing, just hanging out on a beam.
They're all stalling, but at the same time, Minnesota also do just have these rapid fire executes. I'm not sure if it is going to work out with the amount of stalling that they're doing at the moment, because they can't seem to clear this shield inside of attic. And you got another layer to that, is Mini sitting inside of games, just waiting for the rest of Minnesota to collapse on him. And he's going to waste a lot of time here and basically be an alert for Mars to turn around and get his kills as well. All in all, Minnesota are going to have to switch up their strategy. Seems like that's exactly what they're going to do. Now, what I'm also interested is, how is Mars going to adapt to this? He's basically had attic control. He's going to keep attic control. How's he going to play this hatch here effectively? With 50 seconds remaining, Trine are going to pretty much start to collapse on top of Minnesota as the first gas grenade goes out. Execute's going to come on in. Also, another interesting thing to know is Omni is over in Split, and he's the one with the case.
I thought Omni was about to exploit the hole in the defense and was able to go for a plant there, but I think Trine had beautiful usage of that smoke grenades, able to deny that push. But you've now expended 2 of them, and the man of the hour once again finds the 4th opening kill. If there's a player to be felled, it's them. I mean, Ngunta, one of the standout players. Diffuser's attempting to go down, but the smoke grenade's going to turn that at him. But that was the last one used,
Wow.
and Ngunta once again just steps into sight whenever his teammates need him. He's on the docket for more kills. The collapse is perfect for Minnesota. You know, Adam, we were talking about how it was just looking a little bit slow there, but dispatch Ngunta and the round will just speed up.
What in the heck is going on with Trine? Why are they swinging everything? I'm so confused. Minnesota, they were stalled out. Trine's defense worked. It literally worked. Everything worked there. They had the attic wall completely sealed off. They can play the hatch. They knew that someone was pushing in from Split, and that was smoked off. And then they just peeked. They gave away 2 kills, one of them over by main stairs. I believe that was the Vigil. And then one of them inside of the site. It was just so unnecessary, unfortunately. And the thing is that Minnesota have taken advantage of a mistake that Trine have made literally every single time this has happened. Minnesota, they get a freebie, and they just punch a hole in the defense. It's happened every single time to perfection on the side of Minnesota. Their executes have just been so well laid out. And of course, I mean, Nguta's on for 12. So you kind of understand what's going on here. He is, well, he's a spear in a weapon rack of sticks.
He's just nutty, dude. That's what it comes down to. Adam, good news. We're going to the only bomb site that Trine has been able to win, or Trine has been able to win. And that was a close battle, right? We saw the opening kills for Minnesota, 2 for them. And, well, Minnesota, their fatal flaw is sometimes they don't monitor the clock or Father Time quite enough. And ended up being shut down by the Nitro Cell going into that planting window. So Trine, they kind of need to remember that lesson. They need to remember how they stalled time, and the way that they were able to leverage that, Adam, was through that full map roam. A lot of times we see teams just hold meeting room, but right now for Trine, they're literally holding every single square inch of the map. Probably the only place that they aren't is over by Small Tower. And finally, the tides have shifted. The first opening death or opening kill from somebody that isn't Ngunta.
Mini does secure his kill off the cost of a C4, but it is ace, so no longer have the luxury of 2 hard breachers. Big Socks is going to have some big socks to wear moving into this attack, because he's the only hard breacher left. And you know, it can be rough as a Maverick main. You can't completely open up walls sometimes because it's just that difficult to play Mav, mainly on certain bomb sites. I mean, you know, there's a few walls where it's just like if you try and do the Mav trick that you usually can do, it doesn't work. A big example of that is Chalet. It's also just extremely difficult whenever you're stuck inside a bunker, because whenever you're in bunker, you can just have a number of hazards thrown at you through the holes that you're making, and there's not a lot of safety because you're basically stuck on the ground. There is no rappel to play, yada yada. Smoke's coming out here from Smart. He's going to delay a lot of time as he gets his shield completely blown away. The only line of defense here inside a bunker is Mini, who is swinging like this and dying like that, as Ngunta is on for yet another. He gets his opening pick for his team and is now stuck at 13 kills. He is just tallying up a list right now.
But there's still control for Trine. Look at the position that they have. They have meeting room, and that E-box hatch has yet to be opened up. And that torch against a Maverick hatch is quite cumbersome. The drop of Big Socks will confirm their demise. And all of a sudden now both hard breachers, an endangered species, but Ngunta wants to take map control. They realize the writing on the wall, and they're going to say, hey, you know what? I might be able to exploit this bomb sign. They certainly do try, but they lose that gunfight. Final round of toxic gas grenades, and Scrubs is now good for that kill. They have the bomb site, deep control, a flick to the head, and now full sight. Where's the plant, though? Where on earth is the diffuser? It's in Narnia because of the reinforced wall. Scrubs gets tunnel vision, unable to find that kill. Chex cleans it up, and now it's all on the flank watch.
Omni just did not push with his Yana there. Simple as that. Scrubs gave him the opening, and unfortunately, he didn't capitalize off a simple mistake. And we've seen this a lot, Chief. Minnesota just don't like to drone that much. And unfortunately, had they have droned bunker, they would have known that that smoke was completely long gone and that wall was completely reinforced. C4 popped here by Check. It's going to prompt a swing over to Long and give Check his kill as he flushes him out. That's a round there for Trine. Another round on the basement side, but Minnesota now up 3-2 on this attack. Pretty good start from them, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, basic mistakes there on the side of Minnesota. You saw Omni was just, you said it. I mean, he was literally in Narnia. There's no other way to describe it. On the other side of the map, while the rest, while the Ana was going for 2 kills, he was just an absolute warrior inside of the site. So unlucky, just a little bit of miscommunication there.
I mean, Minnesota falls to one of the greatest phobias here in Collegiate. It's going to be that drone phobia where you're just afraid of bringing out those little adorable roly-poly drones to gather information. And, you know, Adam, I actually really can't fault them. And Gunta just goes nuclear. So why would you need a drone when you could just send your LMGE downrange and just find everything? I mean, if Ngunta spots a defender, the defender dies. I mean, it's just kind of been a tale of one LMGE. Now, basement has been the kind of saving grace for the defense. Now that bomb site is locked, Adam, we will not be seeing that site unless we go into overtime here on Oregon. And honestly, the way that Minnesota is playing, the 3 rounds they have in attack, they're going to be going now to dorms for their final attacking stint. They're putting themselves in an incredibly strong position when they conclude round 6 and swap over to their defending stint.
Like you said, if history has it here, Minnesota should be up 4-2 right now. And honestly, I wouldn't be too shocked. Trying just, this is one of those bomb sites, Chief, I think you'd agree with me, where you just can't give up picks because the utility isn't as strong. Like a C4, there's only one C4 that can really deny a plant, and that's into games. And even that C4 is risky. It has to come from white, or it has to come from underneath in most cases. You know, whenever you're downstairs, you have one C4, which is like you pop it, you could get a double kill, you could get a triple kill if you're lucky. The least you'll get is a plant, diffuse denial. So utility isn't exactly as prevalent here as lives are. Your crossfires on this site, I mean in every site in the game, but especially on this site, they mean so much. And unfortunately, Trine's crossfires have been shut down by one simple fact, and that's the fact that they just give away their numbers for really no reason whatsoever. That utility becomes irrelevant because the person who's using it is, well, he's dead.
This bomb site can just always feel super claustrophobic, and look at the way Trine is playing. They have 3 people very close to each other, sure trying to play that trade game, but they have no map control right now. And Minnesota really doesn't need to leverage those drones, the bane of their attacks, because they can just say, hey, I think everybody's in sight right now. They would be correct with that estimation, except for the Aruni Squirrely, who's roaming, I believe, on the freezer stairs of basement. Yeah, that's exactly where they are. So if you're able to isolate them with a flank drone maybe over by Zulu, or use Omni Ezio's Nomad charges for your flank watch, well, all of a sudden, Squirrely's attempt to go backward or come from behind, it may be broken. Okay. I don't think I've seen that one before. This actually might work. Hold on, wait. This actually might be big brain, because they can't now rotate, and you still have the footholes. However, I hate footholes here because the attackers can also prone and shoot your feetsies. So it's either going to be the biggest brain play in the world we've ever seen, Adam, or it's just not.
You cut off yourself a lot here. We talked about how those crossfires are so important. Try and have just literally forfeited one of their most important ones. So
yeah, that's true.
I mean, I get the thought process here. You know, get the footholds, yada yada. But look, the entirety of the entryway into Trophy is just shut off.
Oh, no.
And Gunta just collided to, why are there two in the basement? What is this fight meant to achieve? I'm so confused. Shaq, however, will find Vital, so it is a 3 versus 4. But what is going on with Trine? They're making their defense smaller and smaller. Look at where the rest of the defenders are lined up. They're just scrunched up inside of the site with nothing to do here. And Gunta will get taken down here by Smark for a 3 versus 2. Minnie's got 2 gas grenades left, so there is some sign of hope here for Trine, but not in the way that you'd think, because Minnesota just got given probably one of the greatest gifts, and that gift is a double kill for free.
Where's that diffuser, though? It's just kind of isolated right now. Minnesota has, well, no business other than achieving that diffuser. They have to start to push, and it looks like it's an arm's length away. And Trine has decent crossfires right now. Adam, they might be able to shut that on down. Omni Ezio is going to fall, and now it's just the player sitting in sight. Scrubs attempts to take the gunfight, and it just all crumbles. I started off calling this bomb site claustrophobic. I meant that for the defense. However, the offense of Minnesota, they just seemed absolutely unaware of what Trine was doing.
Wow.
That's a
I need
yikes.
a Tylenol. I need a Tylenol or something. What was that? Chief, can you...
I know the analyst. I know the big brain here. That was just a lack of communication. You know what? We are kind of like beaming about the lack of droning, but I truly believe that Minnesota just wasn't communicating between their teammates that round. I think right now they're kind of going with like the super mentality of IGLing. Gunta, go kill. And if Gunta isn't going killing, the round just crumbles on its face. I mean, you said it best. Why are there 2 lurking in basement? Why are there 2 smoked in basement? And why did Minnesota lose the round? I mean, how many licks to Cinnamon Tootsie Pop? We'll just never know.
That was a confusing bit of attack there, of defense there from Trine. They had some strategies where they decided to lock out Attic, which at the end of the day didn't really matter. I don't know if it really changed much because they ended up just going for a master side attack anyway. And I really did think that would really harm the defenders because Trine could easily have rotated into Attic and played the cross over inside a Trophy, denying a lot of your attack if you are in Minnesota. But then Trine just kind of like got freebies. Like Minnesota just kind of walked right into the crossfires there of Trine. And unfortunately, Minnesota took a lot of 1vx's when they shouldn't have. On a site execute like that, especially like you said, on such a claustrophobic site, you have to expect that there's always going to be another gun pointed directly where you just killed a defender. So you can't just walk in like that. It's not that easy, especially not on this site. And I get that Gunta has gotten a lot of his kills like that, but I don't think that's the proper way to do it on that site.
So I need the official Pink Hat guy rating. Are we a fan of the reinforcement and pit scale of 1 to 10?
I really don't know if it changed much. But if that did end up, becoming an execute where someone didn't just walk in and they just ended up playing musical chairs when they just kind of came in one by one, I think it definitely would have harmed Trine a lot. But considering the way that Minnesota just like limboed their way into the site one by one in a single file line, I guess it works that time.
So no conga lines is what I'm getting, right? No conga.
Don't conga line to the site. No, don't do that. That's a bad idea. That's what you saw what happens if you conga line to the site. I'm sorry.
All right, you heard it here first, guys. No conga lining in Rainbow Six Siege. It's how you get wiped off the face of the earth. That's the pro tip of the day. Now, what are our expectations going into the second half of Oregon? I mean, Gunta was just a dominant performer on the first 6 rounds. Was it 13, 14 kills to their name in 6 rounds? And now we're going over to defense. Now, to be fair, Gunta probably will not have an LMG to their name. I'm pretty confident saying I don't think they're a Maestro player. But they could roam, right? They could bring out that Aruni, they can bring out the Jaeger, maybe a Vigil, maybe a Mozzie, and all of a sudden, they'll kind of spring behind you like a Pokemon, and all of a sudden, you're getting shot in the back.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, it's just the fact that, like, this has been a game of lurks for quite a while, and I don't think it's, like, it's not the fact that, like, one person's lurk is successful, it's how detrimental is one person's lurk, and that time around, we saw 2 go down inside of the kitchen hall, so you have your answer there, but yeah, a really, really aggressive play there as we're just getting all of our players back into the lobby. There's a ping issue, I think. That's kind of what's been dragging us down a little bit, but we'll be back into Oregon pretty shortly. And if you need a score update, it's 3-3, and Trine are now going over to the attack. I'd say Minnesota definitely looked solid on their attack, so I'm interested to see what they can do on the other side.
I always like returning back to like bans. So it was Minnesota that banned out that Flores. Do you think Flores would be at all a factor going into Oregon? Now I know normally we'd say, yeah, 100% the playable shield meta super OP, but I have a feeling that today's Oregon is going to be less about playing with utility consumption simulator and more about, well, the YOLO run into bomb site gun go burn.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing, right? It's like the shield isn't really the problem, I think, from the side of either of these teams. I don't think it's been a hit or a miss. I don't think it's been a make or break sort of piece. I think the only round where that kind of happened was whenever it was a kitchen meeting hold, where that shield inside of Attic definitely did do a lot of damage, which ended up not mattering. But it's becoming more and more evident that this game specifically, a lot of it will come down to trades. A lot of it will come down to player positioning. And one important thing, a lot of it will come down to drone work. Drone work was very sloppy on the side of Minnesota. You have to admit it. It was just all over the place. And it looked like a lot of the times Minnesota were going in blind, which ended up not mattering because Nguyen could just get as many kills as he wanted. But I don't think it works on the side of Trine there. I think that's really going to become a major effect if they can't do it properly.
And that's something that could be exploited when we go to later maps. Now, to be fair, Coastline is map number 2, and, well, that's a map for clicking heads. And good news, ladies and gentlemen, the rehost has concluded. We're back here on Oregon. We've currently find ourselves 3-3 apiece. It's now Minnesota going over to defending stint. I'm curious to see which bomb site that we're going to go to first. Honestly, one of my favorite things to see in Collegiate is teams experimenting with their bomb site rotation, right? Kind of the default from ranked to amateur is, all right, dorms first, downstairs basement, and then you pick one of the sister sites of kitchen. Man, Adam, I love when somebody like throws me through a loop and we start off like on kitchen or something.
Yeah, the tertiary bomb sites on this map, though, just don't seem to be... I don't think they can hold up as much as the kids in the basement site, especially with the way that this game has gone. You're going to need to bring your stronger sites because honestly, it's been a lot of defaults, a lot of standard strategy from both sides. There's not a lot of unpredictability factor in this game. I think most of the unpredictability just comes with the frags and the way that some players just like to play solo, which again, it's rough. It does not work a lot of the time. And unfortunately, we've been seeing what happens whenever solo play does work. You can see it, well, not anymore. It was on the left side of your screen, but Nguyen was dropping bombs on top of Trine, but there's also times where it didn't work. A lot of the times whenever someone were to go for an aggressive play, it was always met with a hellstorm of bullets. So got to be careful on that front.
You know, I have another strategy, and it's also like the Hailstorm style strategy. It's going to be those nades. If we go back to the Siege Invitation or the SSI, right? What was the entire play that we saw? It was nades. It was just utility flying from underneath. Now, Trine's offense, they're not going to be bringing out quite the artillery barrage. 2 sets of nades. Now you'd be saying, oh, hey, you know what? That's enough. No, for SI, it was 3. It was the Maverick, it was the Finca, and the Iona. And honestly, I think the lack of Iona in the lineup for Trine's going to be dearly felt because I can guarantee you, actually I can promise you, that Minnesota will be doing some shenanigans on the Roman. Who is that out of Narnia over by White Tower? You know what? That's a Gunta. I could already probably guess that.
You don't need to know exactly who it is.
That was vital. I lied. My apologies.
Well, Gunta is up to some shenaniganing, if that's an actual word.
It is now.
As he is. Thank you. He's peeking 2 players big tower, and you can see he's punished for it. So he's gonna back up this time around, which God bless his soul. He's bringing him. Why do they have 4 impacts? That is a lot. I get that, you want to have maybe an impact trick going on, but you only have 1 C4 to work with. That's something you're gonna have to keep in mind. That is your only piece of delaying utility, except for maybe the deployable shields.
Great use of the impact grenade, lifeline launcher. Mars knows something is up. It's in Gunta, and they're gonna now lose their life, but it's a chain reaction. One more flying on forward. Mars gets traded, And now Minnesota, and particularly Vital, can just hightail it out of that position. They have done their job with the trade, but the same thing can be also said with the impact grenade launcher. Hey, there's your impact grenades coming to good use, and you've removed now Selma's. A 2x3 configuration has detonated, but the other suite has now been lost. The wall will not be opened up unless you bring over your Maverick and actually cut that wall away with the torch. And let's be real, Adam, that's going to be the most dangerous thing to do under the sun. So right now, I think Trine's going to have to forfeit that breach and go for somewhere else. And it's starting to look like a trophy push to the door frame.
This is usually what happens whenever the wall doesn't get open, although it's a tough bit. You know, it's a tough pill to swallow. That wall is super important. I'd say probably the most important part of this entire attack. So they're going to have to work a lot of this attic and just wring out as much value from that as possible. Vital is underneath, and that's something you're going to have to keep in mind. The Smark is also on Nomad, so air jabs are going to be a plenty for this Jaeger. 40 seconds remaining here, and it seems like Trine's execute is going to start to come to fruition, but there's one key issue. As you can see it, Chief, they don't have attic control. It seems like it's going to come by force, as unfortunately the swing does not bear any fruit to either the attackers that make their way in. The Fuser's now in the hands of Big Socks, as he claims 2 lives there. Omni has also got himself a kill of his own. Mini has to answer for all of the mistakes of his teammates, which he simply cannot. It is a defense going in the way of Minnesota to start us off on this half.
An unfortunate round. It all starts off with a failure to open up the game as well. It's a failure to open up the attic wall, and it just becomes Trine trying to steamroll their way through the bomb site, steamroll their way into map control, whether or not it's flooding in through attic, which just is their absolute pain. They get shredded. And from there, what do? You try to push in through the door frame of Trophy? Well, they get shredded there as well. There's ADSs on the door. The flashbangs didn't find their mark because they were grabbed in midair, and all of a sudden, Trine looking a bit dazed. They have no idea what to do other than hold W and shift and maybe get a Hail Mary gunfight here and there. Minnesota, a great round to play the clock, and an even better roam. And fun fact, that's now the second time that we haven't seen Ngunta find an opening kill.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ngunta got smoked off of that Z-Hall, but it was refragged, so, you know, that's kind of where the value comes from, and Minnesota definitely played that well. Judging by the way that they played their attacks, coordination is definitely key here for Minnesota. One thing that they couldn't get right, or kind of, you know, I'd say one of the reasons why all 3 of those rounds didn't go their way was just a failed portion of the execute, but on defense, you really don't have that execute, right? You don't have that factor where it's like, oh, we need to play something together. The only thing that really kind of comes close to that is crossfires. And a lot of that time, if you just hold your static positions properly that you have been holding throughout the entire round, that should be good enough to establish a crossfire. And it's just basic logic. On attack, some people just don't get it, but on defense, it should basically come to you naturally that you need to hold the cross with your teammate. You have to hold something and get someone's refrag. And Gunta, well, he was looking for a run out there over Big Tower, but a drone was staring him right in the face, and he's going to force himself off of that.
Hey, run out on drones. Why not, man? I mean, you've removed information systems for Trine.
Yeah.
I mean, it works. They lost 2 drones, so, I mean, it's free utility removal, right? So we always like free things, and I actually have a quick question. Does E-Box have any head holes to challenge into barrels?
I would assume so.
Oh, it's utility holes. This is
Okay.
interesting. I don't know if I've actually ever seen this. So the purpose of this is to kind of whip your smoke grenades, your impacts, or your nitro cells, whatever you want downrange, and maybe grab an attacker. There's the head holes. A little bit late, but I guess better late than never. Uh-oh, there's a problem, though. It's the Ying Candelas, but problem has been avoided as it's getting grabbed by one of the mini Wamai pancakes downrange.
And to keep in mind that whenever Candelas get grabbed, those mini flashes do burn ADS, and you can see all the ADSs are now burnt here. Shotgun swings are coming out here, and that's another Candela burn. All the Candelas are gone, and unfortunately, it's going to prompt a misadvised swing. Well, actually, nets him his own trade. As Squirrely and Big Socks each died of their own bullets. 4 versus 3, and that head hole is definitely going to be troublesome. I was looking at that utility hole, and it makes sense, but at the same time, you have a lot of room to dodge any C4s that might be coming your way or just shoot them. So I'm glad that they did put head holes there because that has net them a lot of pressure. You can see the benefits that it's reaped there as both Squirrely and Smark are both down. You've lost your air jabs. You've lost your burn, most importantly. Well, Mini's still alive, but he's also got to worry about the hatches. So utility, it's favorable. Minnesota still have, or sorry, Trine still have some utility, but with the time ticking down, with the Echo drones getting ever more powerful over time, you don't have to worry about that. No C4s, though, on the side of Minnesota as well.
Sure, you've opened up E-Box. That's a new avenue into the site, but kind of already had that before, and with E-Box getting cracked, it hasn't actually changed the Minnesota defense at all. They're still very comfortable playing over by blue tarps, as well as into pillar, and now it's on trying to leverage and continue that utility usage. Use a lifeline to stun lock a player, or Omni Ezio can just get over aggressive and put themselves in an awkward spot. Same thing for Mini. They find themselves DB. No, that's a diffuser, and it's now just Mars, the LMG, forced to go big. Collects on the one, and you still have plenty of time. Res up your mate, but shot in their hands, the dying arms, and oh no, the man of the hour finds 3 incredible kills. They just cannot be stopped.
This is the Ngunta show every single way. That is just so rough there. Gotta be honest. Another 3K here from Ngunta. I could see him lining up for maybe a 20 bomb. This is insane. I think he's on 16 kills. I'm actually not sure how many
14 kills going into the half. So now 17.
Does he have 3? Is that all? That's all he has,
yeah.
right? Like this. Okay, yeah. So it's 14. So he's 17 kills. One more good 3K, and he's on for 20. This has just been an absolute showing for him, and he's definitely leading Minnesota's charge right now against Trine. 5-3. Not a single defense. Sorry, not a single attack found here on the side of Trine. And honestly, Minnesota are just playing this so well. Their crossfires are really well managed. Their their utility usage also really well managed. All in all, Minnesota are preserving their lives as well, which is something that we didn't see Trine do a lot on their defense. So definitely a lot going here for Minnesota as they move on to a tertiary bomb site. I don't think this will affect them in any which way if they just continue to play the way that they have been.
Well, of course not, it won't affect them. Ngunta's alive. I mean, Ngunta's the win condition for Minnesota, right? If Ngunta clicks heads, then win. I mean, that's a simple equation, right? That's an if-and sentence, right? Is that coding stuff? I don't know. I'm dumb. I take fine.
I don't think and is an operator. Well, that's a so and
an
is
operator.
so and is a it's a logic operator. So it's like saying and or, you know what I mean? Like if
Yeah,
blank.
too smart for me.
So if X is equal to Y and Z is equal to Y, then you do something. But it's not like if and. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
I just
All we're
got
saying
accepted
is
to college for
Ngunta go
comp
Bird.
sci.
Hey,
proud of
congrats,
me?
man.
Yeah, I know my stuff. No, I don't.
You will know your stuff at least at some point in 4 years, hopefully. that's the point of the college degree, isn't it?
I'm there to party. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
All right.
Joking.
Well, good news for you. You can actually party. We're going over to kitchen dining, so you can make yourself a nice, delicious meal, and hopefully defend a bomb sign. Put yourself over to match point. Now, of course, Trine is going to stop that as much as possible. Mark gets gifted a free kill, but apparently Minnesota just wants to spring into action and just continue to fly out door frames. And sure, Ngunta loses their life, but hey, you're able to get that trade. Beautiful use of the drone. This is the Twitch drone removing that precious utility, and all of a sudden, that deployable shield over in Showers is looking very bare bones. Still pressure outside, and that's going to be by the bus. And I think Trine, Adam, right now looks very scared. They've done a good job of playing the utility game. They've done a good job of trading. In fact, they own that man advantage, but they're playing, again, very far back, and I don't really see somebody stepping up to the plate to make a play. They're diving around door frames. That's going to be that F2 of Mini, but still, you haven't really opened up the wall. Now just cracked. But where's the avenue to sight? You have to have that vertical, and we're just moments away from lining up everything for the felled player and Showers. And now the horses can go to race. Now you can start to push on forward, and oh, please don't tell me Big Sox is about to fly out another window. I mean, would it be the first time that we see a Minnesota player do it? And would it be the second time either? There's the flashbangs, calling the charge, calling the plant to go into action. Check is going to be leading exactly that. He does get flashed, but it doesn't actually matter. It's Big Sox that's probably the most important player. The feet holes created in the setup is going to be their undoing, and now it's on Scrubs. Forced to go to the sidearm. Sure, it's black ice, but it doesn't end up working for them. The tertiary bomb site, Adam, is going to keep Trine still in the series.
And I think this is the first time a plant's gone down. So there we go. Trine finally getting themselves in the foot there, or sorry, their door in the foot rather. The first plant of the series, and now Minnesota are forced to kind of just take that hit. They unfortunately just could not win the tertiary bomb site that they were hoping to, and it's going to bite them in a little bit in the back if they don't win this round either, as they will go up into kids. A successful site for Minnesota last time around, but At the same time, if Trine continue to play the way that they just did, we should be seeing a little bit more contesting there from the side of the attack. Now, here's the thing about Trine and that attack is that that site is usually pretty easy to get into as long as your hard breach utility works out. That is the most important thing for that entire round. And like you can see, the thermite went open into the, or sorry, the thermite rather detonated on the small tower wall, and the rest was history. The utility was not enough for the side of Minnesota, and the control that they had inside a shower just simply wasn't able to contain the plant going down from the side of Trine.
You know, a similar story almost happened here the last times that we saw dorms, right? It was the ex-Cairo pellets getting impact tricked, not making enough of a rotationable hole, and then Trine was forced to completely change up their offense and start to fatal funnel through the door frames. So for Trine, it's critical that they open up every single wall available to them, because again, it was just fatal funnel simulator. Use that Maverick Torch over in the attic. Use these Selmas to open up games, and all of a sudden, you set up those crossfires, you start to go for pinches, going back to the conversation that we had earlier, create dorms into this most claustrophobic bomb site where the defenders have nowhere comfortable to sit because they're being naded from below, they're being swung on, they're being pinned, and the only thing the defenders can do is either cower in a corner or make a superhuman play.
Well, I've seen some superhuman plays from some players, as we can oddly point out. And Gunta here. Speaking of the double, sitting inside of split. Now, that's always a really dangerous peak for both ends there. I don't think anyone comes out, you know, unscathed of that peak. There's always clawing and screaming whenever it comes to that. So, and Gunta knows that. And he's going to have to be very, very patient and cautious with how he plays this. But, Trine, seeming like they've already got the utility off the wall here, so pretty good start from them. You can see that wall is completely cleared out. Another nade might soar through the game's window. As it does, it damages scrubs, but that's about all it's going to do. But it did its job. It got rid of any utility that might have been on the wall from Omni Ezo. And now, the wall will get opened with relative ease. Now, Mars, it happens. It really just happens. You fall off the roof. You fall off the roof and it just happens.
Good old days back in the OG days of Siege, you could just hold F and all of a sudden you're back up on your feet like nothing happened. Well, I guess something did happen. You'll be at 5 HP and you're still laughing stock for falling off the roof. But Trine, they're not the laughing stock. Look at the map control they have. Look at the objective play that they have. They open up the wall. Mini almost could for the second. The crosshair placement, the ACOG angled grip was just about there, but the kick will prevent that kill. And I will say, Trine, with the man advantage, they might not actually have that HP advantage. They are relatively low health, and Mini is going to die to an impact grenade, a nitro cell, or a single bullet. They're healing, though, and that's going to be the beauty of the new rework of Finka. She now can heal all of her teammates, and with 44 seconds left, that final stim and those nanobots are being loved by the Triton offense.
Mini might be low, but he is still able to secure yet another kill here onto Big Socks, and time is of essence here for Minnesota, and there's still a C4 in the hands of Omni. As long as he doesn't make an ill-advised swing, he has a freebie in his hands. He's waiting, peeking inside a trophy, and he's going to establish a cross into the attic, but Mini's on for his third kill, and now it's a 4 versus 2. Mars takes down Vital, and it's just down to Omni, who does have a C4 remaining, but is he even going to be able to utilize it is the question. Swing here from Smark! Oh, Omni! Heartbreak there from the swing into attic! And now Trine off of that will be able to take us to a tie game.
What happened, Adam? Where did it all go? It was looking like Minnesota was in a brilliant spot. It was 3-3.5. They run it up to 5-3, and it's now downhill from here. Minnesota has gone cold, or has one particular player gone cold. And Gunta hasn't found a kill since the last time downstairs in the basement. That was round number 8. And Minnesota, their fighting spirit, their teeth out play, where they were just chomping, has gone away. They're playing more scared. They're kind of sitting in these corners, and it looks like a different team. I don't know if it was the rehost. I don't know if it's the server problems they keep talking about, but Minnesota is looking different.
I don't know what happened to their coordination. It seems like they're just making a bunch of 1v1 swings that, once again, I mean, Chief, we have been harping on this for so long now. Stop swinging for no reason. Stop taking 1v1s that don't benefit you in any way and are impactless. They might benefit you in some way if you get to kill, but unfortunately, as we've been seeing this entire game, there is no benefit. There has never been a benefit. There has never been a swing that went well so far throughout this entire match. And Minnesota, we talked about it, like, their entire philosophy of just playing together and just holding each other's crossfires has worked so well, but now that they're switching up the formula and trying to play a little bit more aggressive and shut down Trine before they can even get into the bomb site, it hasn't been working. Now we move on to another basement defense. Minnesota have been successful every single time here since. Let's see if they can make this one work.
Well, this is a different hole. We initially saw a complete anchor setup where everybody from Minnesota was downstairs. Now they're electing to roam on that first floor. Hatches are open, reinforcements are over in meeting, and Trine has to decide what they want to do. Do you go for a straight execute and potentially have the players play the hatch against you? Or do you really force the issue? Do you take that map control? Use those drones to gather the information. I think Trine is going to be going for the latter of those options, actually taking the map control away from Minnesota. And throughout that process, if you're able to find 1 or 2 picks in a relatively quick fashion, the roam will fall, and then those defenders who are still on site will really start to feel the burn.
Gunta, he's been pretty aggressive, but unfortunately, as of recent, it hasn't netted him anything. He is going to spray a few bullets over by Classroom, and Mini is going to live through that. But Vital is also here inside a split. You can see how this aggressive roam is going to work out here for Minnesota. They're going to play off each other's swings, and Gunta's got one inside of Z that he's going to have to force away from as Mini just holding down the line on this upstairs area. But there is one thing that is keeping Trine from getting themselves inside, and that is the player sitting inside of meeting. That is Vital, and then Gunta will secure a kill, but Vital is immediately traded out. And that is how you secure meeting. The hatch is now all for Trine, and they don't even have to waste a single piece of hard breach utility on it.
Good efficiency. You took 90 seconds to earn that top floor, and now you have so much extra time to play with, so much extra flexibility, and the icing on the cake is you can now use that Maverick Torch to open up the freezer hatch. However, the thing with Trine is 30 seconds ago, they took control of meeting. Adam, we need to start to see players rotate down a stairwell, rotate into the push, but you can't push as individuals. That's the point that you keep talking about. Both teams have been making this mistake. Now we're seeing Trine start to make a focus on the bomb site, but due to that lack of trade, they're going to now have to fight this execute with a man disadvantage, and now it's climbing worse and worse. It's Squirrely left against 4, and with their position already known in freezer, they're going to have to relocate to a different portion of the map, and that's going to be E-Box.
Diffuser's down 25 seconds. You got 150 bullets between 4 players. I don't think that he has a chance, but he's definitely got enough bullets to deliver to Skulls. Well, speaking of which, Omni will do just that. A Pizza Hut box right into the face of the Zofia with free day delivery, free day shipping. So,
I think
really
most
good stuff
pizzas
there
are
from
free day
Minnesota.
shipping.
Well, no, because it's not free. Idiot.
That's true. But at least it's same day shipping.
That is true.
That'd
That's
be
what
bad
it's
if
not.
it
What is
wasn't.
free? Wait, what is free day?
I don't know.
I
You
kind of just
tell
said
me.
words. I said words there. That came
Words
out of
go,
nowhere.
Burr.
I literally just had Pizza Hut specifically, like
What
2
type of
seconds
pizza?
ago. Cheese.
Like,
I'm not a peppy
Cheese
guy.
pizza?
Yeah, I'm not a peppy. Not a peppy
I gotta
fan.
say, man, why I'm a peppy guy for the most part, cheese pizza, like a solid, good cheese pizza, is
that's what I'm saying.
divine. It's
Yeah.
great.
Attackers need
Oh no, it was probably a 6 out of 10. I really didn't like it. It was. Ugh.
Can I give you my
Hopefully-
pro tip for pizza?
Which yeah, actually I do. I literally have not had a good pizza in like 2 months. I need pro tips.
So here's my pro tip. If you're
Okay.
going to be buying a large pizza and you're planning on like eating it, like reheating it for like future meals, you get cheese pizza. But if you're eating it all same day, you get pepperoni.
I can understand that. I think that makes a lot of sense because you know the pepperoni just like pops in the microwave or whatever, and
Yep.
it's a mess.
Well, you have to use convection oven first off. If you're heating up pizza and anything that isn't a convection oven, you're trolling.
Oh, I'd burn the house down. That's a horrible idea. I don't
already
think you
have.
understand who you're talking to.
to locate a bomb and
I can't cook, don't worry. That's why I have to heat up. Our producer, Santa, says the air fryer. No, air fryer makes pizza kind of chemically tasting and plasticky tasting. Don't use an air fryer.
Really? Air fryers are like made for everything. Like they can
I'm
solve world
anti-air
hunger.
fryer.
Like,
My household is anti-air fryer.
if we give every like government in the world an air fryer, I think world hunger would probably be solved.
World peace, too.
Oh boy, that's something we're gonna have to miss for a very long time, huh? Jeez.
Sadly. All right, I think it's time to come back into Oregon. Let's reel it back in. It's Minnesota currently on match
more air
point right
fryers.
now. Yeah, no more air fries. You're here to hear first. Now, where is Minnesota? Well, they're upstairs right now. They're going back to dorms. Last time that we saw this bomb site, that was back in round 10, and, well, it didn't go very swimmingly for them, Adam. They ended up losing that. It was kind of a mismatched, chaotic round where Minnesota was kind of running around with their hair on fire, with them just getting shot down one by one.
Yeah, we talked about those individual swings, and it's just been the point that we've been harping on literally every single map because it's just oh so important. You kind of see it from like your observer's point. Even if you're a simple viewer, you can see it from the observer's point of view. You just see one person go in, and then they just get shredded, and then the next person goes in, and they get shredded, and it's just not a good time. And Guta's trying to hold down Master. Little does he know that Mini's already made his way into Closet. So the objective that they needed to complete is completed, but now it's time to force Minnesota out of this trophy hold. Nade's going to come soaring through, but unfortunately it goes right past Gunta, who is still alive and well inside of trophy. He can pressure Minnesota. He can pressure Trine all he wants from this position and waste time. That's the important thing. There's only 2 minutes left. And while the drone goes down, a person goes down with it, checks on for his first kill, and the opening frag of this map.
That's going to bury Ngunta at 19 kills going into the conclusion of regular play here in round 12. The offense has set themselves up in a beautiful position. You found the opening kill, but there's still more things on that checklist. You have to start to remove the utility, particularly that pesky bulletproof camera that is grabbing all the information over by the east side of the map. That's going to be in towards trophy. That bit of utility has to be dispatched. The flashbangs, you still have plenty. You brought out 2 sets, now 4 remain. And as soon as those ADSs are gone, all of a sudden that information gathering sources might be off the board. Woo! Mini for 2. I think we're about to see overtime at this rate. Minnesota has to make an incredible comeback if they want to guarantee this series closes in regular play.
Vito's going to slam down the Hard Breacher, who got 2 kills, but unfortunately that swing from Scrubs won't do anything for him. As Trine, this is going to be a long one, ladies and gentlemen, as he does secure that final, or as Trine secures that final kill. Ronto T, Chief. We're here. We made it here all the way. 6 rounds for each team, and you kind of thought that, you know, judging by the fact that it was a 3-3 half, maybe we should have expected this. Will Minnesota be able to fix their mistakes as they continue on their defense in this OT side? Or we'll try and get the better of them.
Honestly, I don't know who to favor right now going into overtime. The attackers went 3-3 to both halves, which technically means the defenders did as well. So it's a very neutral playing field. And both teams have really struggled on certain bomb sites, and both teams have succeeded on certain bomb sites. But the story of today is downstairs in the basement, yet to be lost by both rosters. 4 plays right now, and 4 victories from the defense. So both teams are going to have access to that bomb site. It's going to be Minnesota first in round 13, then Trine most likely in round 14. But then the real question mark happens. Where on earth do you go into round 15? Minnesota will have to be, I guess, taking the burden of defense here on Oregon.
They haven't been as successful, maybe. I would say Minnesota definitely looked a little bit more coordinated whenever they were on their attack, but you know, maybe it's just a fluke. Maybe, you know, it could be. It really could, right? Like, it's the fact that, you know, you have Ngunta on that LMG just being able to spray down whoever he wants to. He hasn't been as successful on this defensive side, but it's also just the play styles that differ between these two teams. You might want to, you know, you can definitely say that, you know, it is the LMG, but at the same time, one thing that Trine have just been doing really well is splitting apart Minnesota. Whenever Minnesota do decide to make those heroic plays, whenever they do decide to make and take those 1v1s, which is mainly in Gunta and Vital so far, they're punishing them. They're punishing them each and every time, and whenever they do, they split up the defense. They basically fill in the gap to where Minnesota just lost their map control in, and they take it immediately. They waste absolutely no time. Smart gets inside of Kitchen, and just like that, Vital will be the opening frag here on the side of Trine. Sitting on the other side of the wall is Ngunta. Is he going to be able to prevent what might be more damage to come?
He's going to get drugged out, though. That's the problem. Oh, he's going to certainly try his best to prevent that damage, and it's a miracle that they weren't able to find that kill. And while Ngunta has kind of rang the dinner bell, they have now alerted themselves, and everybody in the Trine offense said, hey, I'm still over here. I'm still a threat, and you're going to have to respect me. And you know what? They respect him so much, they had to bring out the Jackal. A filthy shot. And that's going to be the 20 bomb now confirmed. Actually, now past the 20 bomb. No, yeah, that's 20 bomb confirmed. They're DBNO, but they're T-Bird after all, right? You can self-res if you go to your gumball machines. I think they know they're DBNO, but there's no nades anywhere in this sector, so Squirrely's just going to drop. Grief the kill, but I think that was a bit greedy there, man, because their life was forfeit as a result.
Definitely very greedy. You can't just sprint into sight like that and not expect to be refragged. They could have just gone away. Unfortunately, they will now have to lose yet another player in that Jackal PDW. But Mini will at least be able to find Scrubs and is also inside of Freezer. A very important hold for him, as he has definitely been one of these main attackers on the side of Trine. One of the most important ones so far, as he secures yet another kill. It's just down to Omni in a 1 versus 3. Who is stuck inside of the closet. A swing and a miss comes from Omni as Trine continue to just pound away at Minnesota on their attack. It's another round for Trine, and it's a match point for them as well.
Trine's comeback, 1 round away from being confirmed, and this is Minnesota's map choice here on Oregon, and Trine has done a masterclass in the latter part of the second half of this series. They've looked so strong, and right now, they're going to continue on that strength, but they have to carry it into downstairs basement. We saw Minnesota elect to go for a roam, and it was dispatched relatively easily because of the push that Trine had. No fear whatsoever just to take the map control away from Kitchen. Minnesota left days from there. They weren't able to really gain much foothold. They weren't able to play the trade game because Trine was just playing lights out. And again, I think that's what it comes down to. Minnesota, their jets, their afterburners have cooled off just slightly. We saw the incredible plays in the first half, and going back to the first half, Ngunta had 5 of the 6 opening kills. Going into round 12, Ngunta was only able to increase their opening kill count by 1. Still incredible to have half of the opening kills in a 12-round series, but it's a definite change of pace when they go from 5 to 1.
Ngunta also has reached that 20 bomb mark. And you saw that shot that he hit, Chief, right? That one onto the kitchen window. That's a good 20. That's a good 20 right there. But unfortunately, it really isn't mattering in the grand scheme of things because the rest of Minnesota are just looking really down in the dumps. And I would definitely be upset as well if I were Ngunta, who's about to drop 20 and is on the back foot by this point. But there's still some hope left. Trine have historically been very, very aggressive and pretty easy to punish on these defenses so far. So as long as Minnesota play like they have been on the most previous half, should be good. The coordination was definitely there on Minnesota's attack. But the issue, man, we talk about it a lot. It's giving away free picks.
Is there somebody in T3? Because that would be the freest pick of them all. Oh, no one's in T3. I mean, you got Mini still lurking down here in T2, but they're spotted on that drone, and you have a rotation that you can use to hightail it out of there, but we see this Nitro Cell before. It was able to dish out damage, no kill, and this time it's 0 damage and 0 kills there, so Mini forced to eject themselves out of that position and allowed somebody else to fill the shoes without swirling with that MK DMR, and honestly, this is probably one of the most terrifying weapons to hear on the defense, maybe other than the Alta, because it hits...
DMR's, it's something else. It is literally a laser beam on the defense. You thought the Maestro 80 meta was something else? Now you got this thing. Literally have an anti-tank rifle in the hands of Squirrely right now, and he's just able to basically tear apart. He's literally able to tear apart an entire attack and just dismantle it with that weapon. Speaking of dismantle, however, the shield, well, it's not lost. It's actually standing pretty strong right now. the nade will knock out the ADSs, and you can see that Smark is going to be forced away. Mini has lost a lot of HP here, and well, that's also a lot, as he's lost his entire spinal cord, and Guta's on for seconds. As that LMG, we talk about how powerful it is in his hand. 22, ladies and gentlemen, tally it up. That's how many kills he's got on this attack. But Omni's going to go down. It might not matter at all. Nade's going to come soaring in the way of Squirrely, but he'll back away at the perfect time. And Omni's got his down, but Squirrely gets greedy. Now, a 2 versus 3, and Omni, he's pretty safe right now. He's in the hands of the attackers. Minnesota should be able to get this res off pretty easily. I'm not sure what's going to happen from here on out, because at the moment, Mars and Check are the only 2 remaining. They have no utility to work with, no C4s as well. This is going to be extremely tough if you're on the side of the defense, but that's a good kill as Check takes down Vital. 2 versus 3. Just gonna have to back away. That's a freebie though. Scrubs is just peeking out way too much. This can't be happening. Minnesota are just walking right into the crossfires here of Trine. As Big Sox and Omni, they're the lowest HP players left. Plant's gonna have to go down here, and it shouldn't be denied because there's no more C4s remaining. But is this cover strong enough for Omni? Plant's gonna be faked, however, and Big Sox goes down! Omni doesn't have time! He's gonna try and look for the frags, but there's nothing that he can do! As Trine, they get their comeback, they secure their win, and they get map number 1. Wow. Trine on an absolute spree on this attack, or on this defense. They fixed their mistakes. They played together so well, and what a fitting way to end us off. Trine, they played that. They played that in the way that we told them to. They said, play together, play your crosses. They listened, and they listened on the most important moment of them all. They listened on overtime, and they secure Oregon.
I'm so disappointed. I missed that final round. My Wi-Fi decided it wanted to jettison itself out. I mean, kind of like what happened to Minnesota at the end of that series. I mean, they were playing so well, and they just started to make mistakes, and I guess they got hit by the EMP in the end. But what a beautiful map number 1. I mean, Oregon was a star-studded performance. I mean, we all know who the MVP is. I mean, we don't even need to mention their name. I mean, Guta was just phenomenal. But that was Minnesota's map choice, Adam. And now I have some concerns because we're going into Coastline, and who knows what that map will mean. But ladies and gentlemen, please do not go anywhere. Keep this tab open. We'll be back with you in 5 minutes.
Music keeps me dancing. Music keeps me dancing.
I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Don't stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. You meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. My darling dear, you're never here. When I'm in pain, you hide and disappear. Like shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept you near in hopes you'd chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares too. I used to run with you through the great big leaves, laugh at you when I believe the home was just you and me. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I give you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh, I thought you were the one for me. That's why I give you everything. Held you close by stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. You meant the world to me. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I give you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. When the lights go down, I've seen hell in you, but you don't care, no, you don't care, no. You just rather watch me fall from a quarter mile, can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, oblivion, oblivion.
For some players on the server, an absolute tragedy just took place on Oregon. You drop over 20 kills on one map, and well, it doesn't go your way in overtime. But for those that are on the defense, for those that are on the Orange side, for those that are on Trine, you're happy. You're absolutely elated as map number 1 goes in the way of Trine, and University of Minnesota is left to pick up the pieces. I'm Jazzman, and this is Chief, and we are back with map number 2 between Trine and Minnesota.
Honestly, at the start of Oregon, I expected it to just be a Minnesota wash, just the way that they were playing, a dominant performance of their attacking stint, but then another 3-3, and eventually that heartbreaking loss into overtime. Now it's Trine's turn to excel and accelerate because they're going to their own map choice and they're going over to Coastline. However, Adam, I do have some concerns because it's Coastline. It's a head-clicking paradise, and Ngunta was a head clicker. 20 kills to their names, and now you're going to probably the best map to feed them kills. So is it Minnesota's turn to now upset things and usurp that 6-seeded roster?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Coastline is just one of those maps where it's just ultra aggressive no matter what. I mean, it's attacker sided for a reason. And it kind of just comes down to the fact that one team will just jump on top of the other at any moment's notice. Utility game can be thrown out the window if one good play is made. So much can happen on Coastline. So much unpredictability as well. So let's go in to map number 2. Let's go in to Coastline as we move on to what could be our final map if Trine continue their pattern of just being absolutely dominant so far.
Hear me out. Hear me out. I'm going to say something completely gnarly. Ban Zofia and ban Finka. Now you may be saying, what? Are you tossing? Are you trolling? Most certainly not, because it's collegiate. It's literally just LMG City. If you don't believe me, watch an Akron game where there'll be 3 of them. Watch any of the top 10 seeded teams in the national ecosystem, and they'll be running multiple LMGs, especially here on Coastline. However, my friend, I actually did not expect either one of these bans, at least on Coastline. I mean, Flores participates in utility, but Osa has that plexiglass shield.
Now it's gone, but
True.
yeah, I mean, a Zofia ban isn't exactly that uncommon nowadays. The LMG is literally just that strong where you can't counter it in some instances, and especially in the hands of Ngunta. Whenever I saw Trine not banning the Zofia, it's a sign of things to come. Now, I don't know if it's going to be good things on the side of Trine, if Minnesota just can, I mean, if Trine can just shut down Ngunta, maybe it won't matter. But it's not that easy. You got 150 bullets. You got a lot of fighting power there. 30 bullets for each player. You got an insane amount to work with here on the Zofia. So Ngunta's going to insta-lock that probably, and we'll just see how we go. And actually, this is a little bit different than the Zofia LMG, I must admit.
Last time that I casted a collegiate game back on Wednesday, it was St. Clair, and in particular, it was Rapid on the Amaru, back-to-back almost aces. So they ace in round number 1, flying in through the white window. They repeated it again, and while they almost got the ace, the problem was they dished about like 90 HP damage, but one player, JM Beast, ended up shooting the guy in the back and taking the kill away. So it was almost back-to-back aces. So I know people are like, Amaru is a troll, but remember, she has an SMG-11, a Gon 6, and probably the best LMG AK, or not AK, AR hybrid G8 abomination.
I don't know. That is an interesting pick. I get that Coastline's roofs are important, so maybe that's, the mentality going into this, but unfortunately they are going downstairs, so the roof isn't as impactful. But I don't know. I don't think I would take this over Zofia because honestly, your shield clear is only going to come down to 2 more characters, and unless Ngunta does have burn, which for some reason we can't see, unless Ngunta does have burn on his end, if he does have flashbangs, that's perfectly fine. But those shields are going to stay up for quite some time. You've got quite a bit of shields. You have 3, as a matter of fact. You have 2 Goyo shields and a smoke shield, so you're gonna have to work with your smoke grenades as burn. Yeah, you do have burn, so it's perfectly fine. But yeah, Zofia is just really powerful and honestly quite an irreplaceable part of most lineups if you are an entry. So I'm interested to see what will happen with Ngunta now on the Amaru instead.
Ngunta just used their abilities. So you spawn in with 4. Here they are. They're already on a balcony. That was fast, and I don't think Trine is going to be quite prepared for that, but Ngunta's been unable to capitalize. I do have a concern, though, and that's the fact that there is no drone in this sector of the map, so Ngunta's going to have to rely on that pure game sense. To be fair, they've had incredible game sense and even better reaction time, so I don't think that's a complete miss, but you're still better off going into a gunfight with information. I mean, Minnesota has a lot of map control relatively quickly. Again, Coastline's a tiny map, so to have almost absolute map control of a sector of a map in the first 40 seconds is unheard of, and here's Big Socks with a big scope and the Banana People optic, able to spot one behind the deployable shield, but unable to pull that trigger because that player relocates to safety just in the nick of time.
Big Socks, I mean, it's not easy to challenge a shield with your class, but he's going to attempt to do so, and that is Smark sitting inside a theater holding a big part of this map that Big Socks is simply going to walk past. So the one thing that is going on here is, like, Minnesota definitely do seem like they want to get in through VIP and work their way down, and this player sitting inside a theater is a big counter to what Trine decide to do if they want to open up the wall, or sorry, the floor rather. But here's the issue: Smark is down, and so is Mini. As Big Socks secures a big kill. Wow, I'm surprised I didn't damage him. He will secure that kill inside of Trophy Dust and Gunta. Instead, that's 2 players down for the price of none, and a minute 10 remaining. You got some verticality work to do here on the side of the attack. That's a lot of time to work with, too.
I was questioning that glass pick, but I would let it play out and see what actually happens with it, and so far, good for a kill. Uh-oh, and Gunta a little bit too eager to hunt down the remaining members of the defense isolated over in Kitchen, and that overextension is going to leave Ngunta dead on the ground and with no hope of getting a trade because the Minnesota offense is nowhere near. Squirrely continues on their rampage downstairs on that first floor. Full control for them over by Blue Bar, and Minnesota, when they found the first 2 opening kills over into Penthouse Theater, they've been unable to do anything with it. Very little vertical, and now you're going to have to start to flood into sight.
22 seconds left. Diffuser's in the hands of Big Socks. It's going to be a take in through bathroom. You can see Czech is the one holding that down. He's got a shotty to work with as well. Omni going to try and challenge us over from the Kegs wall, and he is going to swing and get the kill. Quite a surprising one, but Omni is completely smoked out, and he will simply accept the fact that he is gone. Big Socks is going to be able to get the plant going down here, but it's in such an open corner, and you've got Squirrely rounding the corner, and Mars through the smoke will take down the Diffuser, who is sitting in such an unsafe corner because of the gas grenades there by the smoke player. Really, really well played there on the side of Trine. They secure their first round here on Coastline. It's an attacker-sided map, but that still works out anyway.
Who needs a glass? Who needs a warden? Be able to see through smokes when you just spray with your 416 and pray to Lord Tachanka that you're able to find the headshot. And speaking of the devil,
Speaking of which,
yeah, look who's here. Mark has brought out Lord Tachanka on a bomb site that used to be the staple site, the primary bomb site. Fell out of favor of the pro players, and now, after SI, this bomb site was played quite frequently, in fact, and it's trickled its way down here to collegiate and amateur. And honestly, I've started to fall in love with this bomb site all over again, and for one particular reason: the ability to expand into VIP and basically play the entire top floor. And when you have Lord Tachanka, it actually makes your job that much easier because you can sit all the way back in VIP and kind of go with a CSGO style nade lineup where you kind of bank it off a few walls, and all of a sudden that Shamika launcher firebolt is landing at the feet of a planting attack.
Tachanka just has so much versatility whenever it comes to that destruction. He alleviates a lot of pressure off of your mute / your smoke, your construction operators. So really cool to see him brought out. I think he's one of the more creative operators that you can bring nowadays. I really love the rework, but the problem is that the LMG is just weak, right? It doesn't really do a lot of damage there, and it doesn't really affect the round all that much. The Shumika launcher can definitely do you some good if you understand your lineups, but in most cases, the only time that you'll see Tachanka be super duper effective is when he's paired with a smoke. And smoke is one of those characters where you just bring one of them. You can have one stalling operator with that smoke because the rest of the job will be done by your shields and by your Wamais and your Jaegers. You don't need to have multiple of those operators. So if Tachanka can't really do Smoke's job by himself, he needs Smoke to help him do Smoke's job. That's kind of the weak point there of Tachanka. But again, a lot of versatility with those flames, a lot of versatility with the bouncing of the grenade as well. A lot to work with Tachanka. Very versatile, but just not as effective. We'll see how Smark decides to use it.
I was about to say, wow, this is one of the fastest I've ever seen attackers on the roof. And then Minnesota just kind of existed on the roof. They sat there for 60 seconds, and now they're starting to clump up, and they're about to start to push out of luggage. But, Adam, they're going to have a very awkward situation if they do, because there's a deployable shield in their face, a masterclass on utility consumption being brought down, and there's the top fragger from the previous series. Map number 1 felled. A Goyo shield erupts in Mini's face. They're forced to leave the sector. You have to be very careful, because there's a glass sniper, the Banana People scope on the other side of the door frame, exposed behind very little cover. If Big Sots is able to spot out Mini, DMR will be able to remove them one shot, and there it is, proven there. However, Minnesota, they struggled in the trade game. 3 of their attackers lost throughout the attack. Or probably 2.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
And an important one is that nades are gone, and you only have enough on Omni, which is not a lot of burning. Greenshot, speaking of burn, he's your only operator that can help out with that. He's got flashbangs, but he's dead now. Smart. Gonna delay a lot of time here inside of theater, but doesn't matter. As Czech is gonna be the one to secure the kill onto Big Sox. It's just Omni and Scrubs now. 2 very powerful operators there. Well, now down to 1, as unfortunately Omni is left to pick up the pieces of his fallen attacking teammates, including the diffuser, which needs to be grabbed by him. 47 seconds remaining here in Omni. He hasn't been the highest clutch potential player I think we've seen, as a lot of these times he's gotten, just wiped off the board. But it's unfortunate to see him even in this position. The rest of Minnesota just got so aggressive and really didn't bear themselves any map control. They didn't really gain much from it. You can see the Shamuka. It's got one main advantage, and that's just the fact that it can stall for quite a bit of time. You can see it's doing just that, just locking Omni out of the site until eventually he decides to go for one last push, and it's going to go as expected.
Wow, what a beautiful use of map setup, from deployable shields to the footholds being made by the LMG to prone defenders holding that incredible line of sight and being able to help their fellow teammates when those shields erupt. I liked how Minnesota was fast to the roof, but from there, they just kind of stacked up and existed on the server without really taking much control and playing together. They never really played the trade game, and I think that was partly because of that Shamik launcher constantly flaming them off.
Yeah, the Tachanka definitely did work out that time around, and it makes sense as to why the attack that Minnesota were trying to pull off was just into narrow hallways, and that's where he shines. That's where he shines a lot, because his area of effect is not very large. The Shumika launcher can't cover too much, but multiple Shumika launchers in one really, really narrow hallway, that's effective. That is definitely effective, and it works out for them. They're going to be going over to Hookah this time around. No Tachanka, except check on smoke. I mean, yeah, this is quite the start here for Trine. Definitely one that you're going to want to see, because their defensive wins haven't just been wins. It's been prowess so far around this map. Trine are just unstoppable at the moment, and I think it really comes down to the fact that their utility usage is really effective at isolating off a lot of Minnesota's attackers and also stalling out a lot of time.
And Trine is demonstrating why Coastline is their map choice. You can see through the utility play that you're just highlighting that Trine has a well-versed strat book, and they're able to bring it out to counter what Minnesota is doing on their attack. And on the side of Minnesota, they've yet to at least demonstrate to me that they're understanding what Trine is doing on the defense. They've yet to demonstrate to me that they know a strategy of how to kind of break down the defense, whether or not it is burning utility deployable shields. And even going back to the previous round, the lack of hard breaching really cost them because they're unable to breach into Penthouse. Now that will be addressed. Ace is in play, and I know a lot of people don't like bringing hard breachers on Coastline, but with the introduction of pocket thermite charges on players like Buck or Zero, you do actually have a lot of flexibility to bring out hard breach gadgets. Plus, the AK-12 and even Habana's Type are incredibly good guns, so even if you want to run around the map and click heads, it's still a viable option too.
C4 blown across the map, unfortunately won't net anything, as first E1D is going to come on out here from Omnizo, but it's going to allow Ngun to just get himself inside of luggage. Speaking of Omni, he's going to be lit up, but he takes down Mini. Not before getting refragged, and most importantly, Squirrely has retaken VIP, but this could be lasting more than 10 seconds as he's stuck in a reload, and he's got 2 people sitting in the room with him, and unfortunately, the F2 does beat out the P10. And Vital takes down Mars. 3 free kills given here to Minnesota. I'd say free, but then again, it is a 3 versus 2. Now is Big Sox and Omni both down. The rest of Minnesota now just going to have to make a push off this. And Gunta as well, sitting inside of Aqua. He wants to get into the site. He doesn't have the diffuser, but this is a lot of space that he can make from here with the G8 and with the 2X especially. Check. Peeking also into VIP. Scrubs has a very important cross the hole, and if he loses this round, it could be pretty detrimental here for Trine. Rather for Minnesota.
Foolproof camera providing a lot of information that there's a pesky attacker in the bomb site, but the SMG-11 pretty easily dispatches that. And Minnesota now spread out once again. That could have been a nade from underneath. That's actually a nade just being vaulted over the wall, but it doesn't actually quite find its mark. Minnesota's still very far away, and right now I have a concern that it's going to be a lack of a trade and a lack of information. You still have 2 drones. One's currently on the flank, but look at the way that Trine is playing right now. They're close enough to each other to go for a trade, and they're also close enough to be able to hear that diffuser going down. The last line of defense, the toxic gas grenades go down. Scrubs loses their life, and now the 2 players left on the defense are able to put all their gun barrels over towards Aqua, and as that smoke starts to dissipate, it's a nade to return. The plant goes down, but where is Trine this round? There they are. Checks kills, finds another kill, and what a beautiful round. That's a flawless sweep. 3-3, or probably 3-0.
That was crazy. What a round of applause there to that clutch from the rest of Trine that was remaining. That sounded so suspicious. That was great.
Get your
Smart
mind
and
out of
Check
the gutter, man. You wanted a round of applause.
That was not a round of applause.
I
That
was
like
a
a...
peanut. I was going in a circle. I was a peanut
Were you?
gallery. Yeah.
That was... I mean, Smart and Check really just held that down. We talked about how that cross inside of VIP was going to be so influential, and it was just Smart. He just held that down, and while Check was just remaining inside of the site, just tossing all of his smokes into the attacker that tried to get inside of Billiards, I really felt like had Minnesota maybe focused the kill more than they did the plant, that could have definitely been something else, because Check was just living safe inside of Hookah. That nade could have also landed, maybe if that nade landed, something else would have taken place there. Another result, maybe another round for Minnesota. First round might have transpired, but unfortunately, just way too passive there for Minnesota. They didn't play their man advantage in the way that they should have, and they kind of just let that man advantage dissipate with time, till eventually the utility just became so strong on the side of Check.
And that same story can be applied going into round number 4 here in Kitchen, because utility is going to be critical. Cracking open the bomb site is probably going to be even more important, because the only way to crack the site is to take control of VIP. We saw Ace in the previous round, but look who's not on the side of Minnesota. I do not see a single Ace whatsoever. And also, I can't help but point out, look who doesn't have a kill on the side of Minnesota. The player that dropped a 20 bomb. And Gunta, the standout performer from map number 1, has been struggling to find their impact. Adam, we have to return back to what we were talking about back on Oregon. It was 5 opening kills to Gunta's name to the half of Oregon. So 5 out of the 6 rounds, they found the opening kill. When they were unable to produce those opening kills, Minnesota started to crumble. And I have a suspicion that the storyline might be here again.
Talked about that Lurks, Chief, didn't we? We talked about that a lot on Oregon. It's just being at some random part of the map and holding it down, it doesn't constitute map control. It doesn't really give you anything, does it? It's just a player sitting in some random corner of the map hoping that they can make a play happen, and I'm hoping that Trine don't apply that same philosophy here. You can see that right now Squirrely is sitting inside a main lobby, but he's not really doing much in the benefit of the upstairs attack. That's where Minnesota are right now. Mini! Oh, what is that from Scrubs? He's just so unsafe, and Mini was just in the perfect spot. That is so unfortunate. As the Goyo shield gets cleared here, Smart is still safe and alive, but that's the most important part. The Goyo shield is cleared, and Minnesota just dropped the hatch. And Gutu decided that he wanted to just drop, and well, I guess I'll eat my own words as Squirrely proves to be useful inside a main lobby. Why the hatch drop, I have no idea, and the site is taken by Minnesota, but what does it matter? The diffuser is not in the hands of the attacker. Why is it raining bodies right now on the side of Minnesota, on either side? What is happening? Why are so many people falling from high? What's with the Jeff Hardys all around here, flying from high places?
All right, I think it's time for Minnesota to put on their thinking caps and find a way to come back in this round. And Assyria Gate blocks the diffuser, so Amnezio is going to have to burn one of the most precious, that's not a word, precious bits of utility. Those nades. Now, you still have one more in pocket, but you'd be better off keeping those 2 nades there to be able to isolate those defenders on site. Here kind of goes a random nade. It's a little bit haphazard, addresses the deployable shield, but bad news there, Adam. There's nobody on the side of Trine anywhere near that shield because they're trying to play these very off angles. The pre-fire that's here doesn't identify anything in the corner, and it's a cheeky prone angle as Check once again is able to find the last kill in the round, and that's 4 in a row.
Trine looking unstoppable right now on this defensive side, and that entire attack was just so confusing. I wanted to go back and say, I'm not sure what the Iruni was doing inside of main lobby because, to be honest, if my hindsight's 2020, I don't really think she had much of a reason to be there. Just sitting inside of main lobby and just waiting, and then all of a sudden, and Gunta just runs around theater, drops the hatch to try and kill the person inside, and then he just dies out, and then everyone just starts falling from high places, and then Trine just gets their frags. Their crossfires are well established, and they work out with that. But what the heck was that? That was just so unorganized.
$20. It was to drop the impact through the floor or drop a nade through the floor. Like that's probably what it was designed to do. Like, haha, I have a big brain. I'm just gonna shoot through the floor with my utility. But you forget about droning.
Zofia, I mean, Gunta just started spraying through the floor. I don't
mean, you have 150 bullets. Why not spray through the floor?
I mean, guess, yeah.
If you're gonna spray through the floor with any gun, it's probably Kachanka's
one of them is
LMG.
bound to land, right?
Yeah, the LMGE in the ACS-12 is probably the best guns to do so. So you have one of the best guns. So why not attempt it? Or I don't know, hear me out, play utility. That's a big brain.
I mean, yeah. Utility usage has been pretty good here from Trine all in all, so not very surprised that maybe it is just the little advantage that you have to take. The utility has been really good, and I mean, Chief, it's just shocking to me that we're seeing such good utility usage and such a massive lead on the defense, and, well, I think what just happened is we just got our point proven correct. It's weird. Oh, that was a pre-placed as well.
So you're on the default cam, and you just get the free kill. I mean, those are just so easy to set up. You just got to be ready for them. And even if it's a pre-place, when your drone drives over it, you can hear the boop, boop, boop of the drone, or the nitro. So you should be able to call your entry and say, hey, I think there's some weird shenanigans going on with the nitro cell. Now, I have a concern. It's not the fact that Ash has lost her life, and you're going to need those Ash charges to break down the deployable shields. It's where is your hard breacher? Sure, you have a Maverick in play, and it's going to be nice to slice and dice some holes through this wall, but I don't think this is the ideal operator because Mars isn't being forced away. They can just sit back in this corner behind this island, safe and sound in the cubby, and will not really feel the pressure. Whip nades back and forth, why don't you? But there's also my pancakes in play. What? You know he's in the corner!
What the I am not sure what that was all about there, but Vital at least gets a refrag. He's gonna look for a frag right onto Mini, but I mean, there's utility all over. Minnesota, we talked about their drone work, Chief. That's not even drone work. That's just using your eyes and your common knowledge. Nice nade there from Omni. He will take down Mini. It's a 3 versus 3. But there's a player sitting inside a vase. I'm not sure if they know this. Squirrely's gonna swing, but it won't matter. Smark is the one to secure that kill. Vital and Big Sox remain in a 1 or 2 versus 3, and the site does have an opening into it, so a plant can go down. But if you'll notice, Chief, there is one more C4 remaining, and Check has that primed and ready. Thrown over the bed, but it's shot there by Vital. Ironically enough, a very Vital play there, and it's going to be swing from Check. Unfortunately, the rotate from Vital isn't going to work out, and Check runs out of bullets. The swing in from Smark doesn't work either. Big Sox is on to 1 versus 1. It's just Squirrely left alive, and he's got half HP, but at the same time, He's got diffuser to plant as well. 19 seconds remaining. Plant's gonna start to go down here. Squirrely has nothing to deny it but his gun. He's gonna have to swing here onto Big Sox if he wants to deny this plant, which he's not gonna do just yet. Big Sox will get off of it, but he can't do it. A crucial round that could have gone in the way of Minnesota is gonna be handed right back to Trine.
It was almost a throw and a throw. Minnesota completely demolishes all hope that they have in the round, but they have a glimmer of hope, the ability to go for the plant. They see the avenue. They almost have the coverage, and the defense completely crumbles there. A 1v3 turned into a 1v1 like the snap of a finger, and all of a sudden, Big Sox, a player for Minnesota, has the ability to win the round and find Minnesota their first victory, redeem themselves for the mistakes that they were making earlier. But no, sadly, Adam, it doesn't go their direction. Big Sox was, well, I guess they broke the cardinal rule. Pros don't fake, and unfortunately, they find themselves in one of the worst positions to be in. An incredible play from the defense, but honestly shouldn't have gone that distance. Go back to the drawing board for Minnesota. It's critical that you win this next round. Win round number 6. Again, I hate to use Pro League statistics, but in SI, this map had a 41% defending win rate, the lowest out of all 7 maps.
Yeah, and Trine at the moment has just been making all of that look like a joke because they are up 5-0. Minnesota, you're absolutely right, Chief. They just need this. There's no other way to put it. They just need this. Even one round would be so beneficiary to them because Trine, they're running away with this series. Minnesota just cannot find an answer to these executes that they've been trying to make happen because honestly, Minnesota's just been playing them like a fiddle. Sorry, Trine's just been playing them like a fiddle. Utility usage is 10 out of 10 from Trine. Their positioning as well, extremely passive. They solved all of their problems from Oregon. They're not making these heroic individual plays. They're holding what they need to and holding each other's crosses. And unfortunately, Minnesota, they just can't break that kind of play style. Smark is onto Ngunta as well. And Vital will drone out Mini, and he somehow loses that! Walking into a crossfire for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, that's an effing chat. That's not a good way to be for Minnesota. Again, I hate to call them out. And Ngunta currently sitting on a gnarly donut right now. 0 kills to their name. And again, Ngunta had a 20 bomb in the previous series. 14 of them in the first 6 rounds. Mini's now dealt with, and that's going to be the wall hack gadgetry, the pulse off the board. But what has Minnesota actually accomplished? They've accomplished control of Blue Bar, and I guess they've accomplished also a magazine being dispatched from the Type 95, but that's not really what you want. Again, you have to have active pressure in the round, not just shooting through the darn floorboards, and that's the repercussion that Mark's kill. Sure, you have glass in play. Sure, you're able to see through smokes, but you could also get wallbanged.
Squirrely will just spray down Omni, and you're starting to understand, Chief, there might be a little bit of hesitation from the side of Minnesota and also a little bit of giving up. Minnesota are just playing absolutely the opposite of how they have been. And Ngunta has no kills compared to 20 from last map. And it's just a lot of what Minnesota are doing last game is just being adapted to by Trine. And now Minnesota's main issue that we've been seeing also from Trine on their attack, well, it was the fact that they just took so many 1vx's. Scrubs cannot, unfortunately, secure anything just yet. Gonna just swing here, and it seems like if there's any fruit to bear, it's on the other side of the Garden of Eden, because right now, he is not feeling any willingness to win this. But, I mean, Chief, we talked about it a lot on Oregon. I mean, it was basically brought up every single round because it's just so crucial. You just can't peak one by one, and it seems like it's hurting a lot more now in Coastline.
Communication is critical in Rainbow Six Siege. It's almost as more important as clicking heads and playing utility, because clearly Minnesota can shoot, right? Clearly they can deal with utility. We've seen it more than once, but when it comes to team plays and team trading, they've been on the back foot constantly. Their opponents, on the other hand, have been practically flawless in that department. And I'm glad that Minnesota was able to take this 35-second timeout, because they absolutely needed it, Adam. It was a 6-0 flawless half, and now Minnesota has to defend. And again, Pro League statistics, SI statistics, this is a 41% defending win rate. If that carries over here to the R6CC, honestly, I don't really see it going much more than 8 rounds.
6-0. You hate to see it, Chief. I don't think I've seen that scoreline in a very, very long time, and unfortunately, it's going right into the hands of Minnesota, a team who had a lot of promise coming into this second half. Or to the second map rather, 8-6 on the last game. That's nothing to shy away from. That's still a lot of rounds on the side of Minnesota. Trine only won it by 2, but this time around, it's looking absolutely dire. Minnesota's mistakes are really coming back to haunt them, and they're festering in this coastline. And when you can't win on a site or on a side rather that should be in your advantage, when you can't win on coastline attack, it's haunting. It's a dark omen here. But Minnesota has 6 rounds to climb back from. Let's see if they can do it as they switch sides. Hopefully they switch up a little bit of their momentum, get a breath of fresh air, and begin their defense here on coast, which is their second and potentially our final map.
Look at the Minnesota defending lineup. It's almost like a pug stack at this point, right? You got a Malusi who's good at clicking heads. You got a Bandit who's good at clicking heads. You got a Rooney who's good at clicking heads. I mean, you got Warden. I mean, you got it all, right? You got everybody who you'd queue in a ranked game if you're on your Smurf account and you're ready to run out a window, fly out a window, and take gunfights. So at least that's demonstrating to me that Minnesota is here to play and they're not ready to give up. They're going to take the fight as many times as possible. And there it is, demonstrated in big window. Sure, you didn't find the kill, but at least you're still fighting tooth and nail, and they are not out of this series. Sure, you're on match point, but you're going to fight every ounce of the map.
There's a lot of map control to take here on coastline, but most of the time it comes down to 2 things on this site. It's either, well, 3 things. It's either hookah balcony, VIP, or aqua. That's what it all comes down to. Those are your main points of action. But at the moment, all 3 of those are being contested. You can see Omni is sitting inside of luggage, and Scrubs, well, he gets down here, and Smark is on for the run out. And this is just such an aggressive play here. You got to know that you're just going to get refragged. It's just all players on the side of Minnesota falling in. It looks like we might be having to wrap it up a little early here, Chief, as 6-0 on the favor of Trine, and 3 players are dead, including a C4 gone. Not only on Big Socks, or no, he might have brought a shield. Mainly on Scrubs.
Amnesio spotted out one of the 2 players left in the line. The drones continue to pester them. And now forced down to white stairs. Again, this is a hookah defense on the first floor, and Omni Ezo is not somebody with a nitro cell. They brought out a deployable shield, so that's not going to help you unless you start to shoot through the floorboards. And to be fair, we see Minnesota do that more than once today. Omni Ezo, the last one left. All hopes of week number 6 rides on 1 player. Minnesota, they don't want to go out of this a 7-0, but they're on the threshold of doing exactly that. Omniezio's rotation has yet to be identified, though. So there's a saving grace there if you're a Minnesota fan, but a player on the other side of the door, and it's all they wrote. A 7-0, an incredibly dominant performance. It all goes wrong on coastline.
7-0. You can't write a story like that. You just can't. Trine, they had the comeback going on Oregon. They had a little scratching and clawing fest, a war on that map. We transition over to coastline, and it is the exact opposite. It is just, it's a massacre. It is an absolute massacre. And the University of Minnesota, they had 2 subs. They put up quite the fight, so your hope was definitely a little bit there for that team, but it seems like it's not going to bear any fruit. It seems like we're done here.
Trine. I mean, imagine the comeback, right? You have Ngunta going nuclear, right? They have 5 of the 6 opening kills in the first half, and all of a sudden you're able to reel it back in Oregon. You take in overtime, and you're like, all right, we had a really sweaty map number 1. I'm expecting it to be equally sweaty. We're going to the head-clicking paradise, and sure, it was exactly that, a head-clicking paradise, but coastline, a 7-0 with Ngunta in the lobby, the player that dropped 20 kills on Oregon, 14 of the first 16 rounds. I mean, where was the lethality? Where was the gun barrels of Minnesota? Why did it fail like that?
Yeah, it really did seem like Minnesota were pretty flustered at the end of that. And I think it really just comes down to the fact that I mean, Chief, it's what we've talked about. I mean, it's
Mhm.
not only just your 1v1 engagements, it's also simply just the fact that Trine really stepped it up whenever it came to their play in terms of utility. Now that we finally see them, complete a full defensive half where they start out and they just roll through, we really got to saw the ins and outs of their strategy, and their utility was on point. They had a shield set up perfectly. Their setup was nice. You can understand why it was their map pick, right? Like they just had their setup down, they had it nailed together, and they just played so smart around each other, got each other's trades, held each other's crossfires, and well, they won with each other. 7-0 on Coastline. You can't, you don't have to explain any further, do you? It's the
No, not
exact
at
way
all.
that you expect it to go.
Oh man, what a series. What a blast. And Mr. Pink Hat Guy, Jasmine, it's been incredibly fun with you today. And I'm actually really disappointed that we don't get to go to Villa.
Yeah,
I,
me
I had
too.
so much fun. I wanted to see 3 maps, but out of my friend, it's been an absolute blast. On behalf of us on the broadcast team, Santa, our producer, Max, our observer, and all of the admins here at R6CC, thank you guys so much for tuning in to week number 6. We'll be back with you next Saturday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. See you then, friends.